example, like when you hear transfer of electrons, okay, should be ionic bonds. If you hear sharing, should like stir up something that says covalent bonds, right? So bingo, the point behind bingo for me is to get you guys like quick recognizing those buzzwords, all right? Jeopardy, we're talking through questions with your peers. So those are a little bit more open-ended, right? MCQs, I think MCQ reviews are really, really important, all right? So this is going to help you get familiar with how we ask questions, how to approach practice problems on your own. So like explaining why alternate answer choices are incorrect, right? It also helps you get familiar with like how we ask questions. I think I already said that, yeah. So these resources, so these types of resources, I don't remake them every semester, okay? These are resources that I make even before the semester begins, okay? So they are very similar between semesters. I might adjust a word here or there, but they're pretty much the same thing throughout the semester. They are not tailored to the specific exam. So sometimes there's questions that like might not be something that shows up specifically on this exam. It'll still be a learning objective, but it might not be specifically on this exam, right? In order to look at what's specifically on this exam, and I'm going to show you guys, okay? You need to do the exam worksheet. Now, I do not do these exam worksheets in class because the whole point of the exam worksheet is to get you guys to find your own weaknesses, right? So the reason I don't do them in class is because if I do them in class, people just tend to follow along. And it's one thing to be sitting there in class and hearing this stuff and being like, oh, I get this, right? Because sometimes you do get it when you hear it, but then you go back and you try to think about it yourself and like you just completely space, which is fine. But you would rather do that while you're doing a worksheet than doing that on the exam, right? So the exam worksheet is going to be under content, week 3, pre-class work. Okay, I'm going to type it in class or in the chat. Okay, so content, exam worksheet, content, week 3, pre-class work. Okay, just scroll down. Or sorry, exam 1 worksheet. I don't know why I'm saying exam 3. Exam 1 worksheet. Okay, so it's right here. It's going to open up this. You have a PDF or a docx. They're the same thing. Okay, the PDF is so that the pictures don't move around. The docx is if you want to type onto it directly. Okay, so the exam 1 worksheet is really like good because it's going to hone in on the learning objectives. Now, because we are only testing on 3 chapters for this first exam, okay, a lot of it is going to overlap with your notes pages. But if you look at things like the regions, the body regions, we took out ones that like don't show up on the exam. Now that doesn't mean that like you don't need to know them. You do still need to know them. But like the list of ones that like are there are showing up on the exam in some capacity or another, right? So stuff like that. We are trying to help you guys hone in on the learning objectives and the stuff that we're testing on. Right? So the other things that you can do, there's flashcards like F.A. Davis resources. I make like little clicky games that'll show you. Hold on. I know I showed you guys like the first day of classes, but you guys probably saw a million and one things, so you might not remember. But I put the links at the bottom of all of my emails to you guys. Let's see. So stuff like this, okay? So It's just like little clicky games. You press play, frontal, oh, that's there. Brow region, oh, that's there. So on and so forth. Okay? So if you're looking for some sort of game to play while you're on like the train or whatever, I have a bunch of these. Okay? You can see a bunch of my other students have used them. A lot of my students have told me that it's really helpful. See, like there's 263 plays. I feel like that's impressive. So, use those, use the review stuff that we give you guys. Okay. But really, really make sure that you do this exam worksheet. All right. So let's get into the MCQ practice. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so anatomy is going to be the study of body structures. Okay. Body functions, that is going to be physiology. Okay. So, physiology. I'm working on putting together like a little answer key as well with like all of the annotations that I make. Because one of my other classes just didn't get through all of the MCQs. So I'll send that out to everybody tomorrow when I do my like emails. Okay. So body functions is going to be talking about physiology. All right. The other two, don't worry about them. So 10 more seconds. That's fine. There's a bunch of MCQs today, so if you miss one or two, it's okay. Yeah, so physiology is going to be the study of the body's functions, right? F sounds like pH. Don't worry about the other ones. Okay. Yeah. So shape of the bones is going to be talking about their anatomy. Okay. If we were talking about something like how bones are remodeled or like how calcium gets used in bones, okay, that is going to be the physiology. Anatomy is like the shape of bones, okay, the length of bones, stuff like that. 10 more seconds. Okay. So the simplest structural organization unit in this case is a molecule. Okay. So if you remember, right, we have a whole hierarchy. So it starts with atoms, right? So if you're looking at the question and you're like, I don't see atoms anywhere on the screen, there's no way that it's anything other than cell. There's more than just atoms and cells, right? In this case, we have atoms joined together to form molecules. Molecules are going to come together to form organelles. Organelles come together to form cells. Cells come together to form tissues, tissues to organs, organs to organ systems to human organism, right? So if you don't see atoms on the question, right, you have to go with the next smallest thing, which in this case would be molecules. Okay. So the smallest one on this screen is molecules. Now, if I had said the simplest living thing, that would be cells. Okay. Okay. So I expected this, right? The primary function of the skeletal system is going to be production of red blood cells. Okay. Or sorry, not a primary function is going to be transmission of nerve signals. All right. Sorry, I misread the question for a second. Because production of red blood cells does happen in the skeletal system. All right. This one tends to trip people up because you see red blood cells and you automatically assume that's part of the circulatory system. Okay. Red blood cells are not made in the circulatory system. They are made in the bone marrow. So when somebody donates bone marrow, right, they're not donating, well, they're donating to like people that are having problems producing red blood cells, okay, or some sort of blood cell. So like white blood cells, red blood cells, whatever it may be. Okay. So even if you don't remember that production of red blood cells is a function of your skeletal system, you can remember transmission of nerve signals has to do with your nervous system, right? There's not going to be two correct answers. So even if you remember, I know for sure nerve signals has to do with the nervous system. All right. Then you've got the right answer. Okay. If you're not sure about red blood cells, but you know for sure nerve signals has to do with the nervous system, then you are all set. Okay. A lot of people get the red blood cells wrong. That's why I always ask this question. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah. So the organ system responsible for transporting oxygen and nutrients is going to be your circulatory system. Okay, so transporting is specifically going to be your circulatory system. Respiratory system is going to be responsible for taking in oxygen, as well as like getting rid of carbon dioxide. But I assume if you answered respiratory system, you saw oxygen, thought respiratory. Okay. Respiratory system is responsible for specifically taking it in. Digestive system, responsible for absorbing. So responsible for absorbing nutrients specifically. Again, we're not transporting them. We're not moving them around the body, right? We're just taking them in. Nervous system is going to be responsible for transmitting nerve signals. Okay. So when you are approaching these questions, there's only so many ways I can ask questions, right? The point of this is to get you guys to think about what the wrong answer choices are as well. Okay. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Okay, so anterior is referring to the front of the body. Okay, the other word for anterior, does anybody know what the other word for anterior is?
Posterior.
The same word for anterior, the opposite is going to be
Frontal.
frontal is a plane. Starts with a V. Ventral. Right? So anterior, also called ventral. So we already know that
Okay, I have a
posterior.
question.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the term that's saying above then?
Superior.
Okay.
Yeah. So posterior, other word for posterior. What's the other word for posterior?
Dorsal.
Dorsal. Okay. And like I just said, above is going to be superior. So below is what?
Interior.
Inferior. Okay. Ten more seconds. Yeah. So the directional term that means closer to the midline is going to be medial. That was almost 100%. So I'm going to give you guys a pretty close, pretty close. It was like 96%, something like that. So closer to the midline is going to be medial. What's the opposite of medial?
Distal.
It's going to be lateral, actually. So distal and proximal are going to be opposites of one another. Okay. So distal is going to be further from the point of origin. So we're going to see this when we talk about like the leg or the arm, right? Because those have like start points. So for the leg, it's going to be your hip. For your arm, it's going to be your shoulder. Proximal is going to be closer to the point of origin. Okay, so closer to the midline is going to be medial, further from the midline, lateral. Distal and proximal, which are opposites from one another. Distal is going to be further from the point of origin. Proximal is closer to the point of origin. Ten more seconds. All right, so sagittal plane is going to divide into right and left halves. All right. I took off the last plane, I believe, on this. I think it originally had oblique plane, but to not confuse you guys. Make sure you're clicking on the screen so that you get credit for the MCQs. Okay. I'm gonna send out a quick email with the like the thing that I printed out for everybody on Monday, for those of you that weren't there on Monday. Okay. Yeah, so the plane that divides the body into anterior and posterior parts is going to be your coronal plane. Okay. So we just talked about your sagittal plane, right? Your sagittal plane is going to divide you into left and right. All right. Your coronal plane, also called your frontal plane. All right, the last one is going to be your transverse plane, which is also called your horizontal plane. Well, I was about to say, hold on. Let me type that in a second. Okay. So remember, anterior and posterior could also be ventral and dorsal. All right, we could call it coronal plane, we could call it frontal plane. Now, we will not put, if this is the question, right? We're not going to have both coronal and frontal in the answer choices. We might put transverse and horizontal. So if you're sitting there and you're like, those both mean the same thing, okay? Chances are that is not the correct answer, right? All right, 10 more seconds. Oh, all right, yeah, so your mediastinum is going to contain your heart. All right. Your liver is going to be found, and you'll notice I changed bladder because I wanted to point out bladder because kidneys is also found in your abdominal cavity. So liver is going to be found in your abdominal cavity. Okay. Your bladder is going to be found in your pelvic. Can't spell pelvic. Pelvic. So if you remember, your pelvic is going to have your like reproductive organs in your bladder. All right. Your lungs are going to be found in your pleural. Okay, so lungs are found in your pleural cavity, heart found in your mediastinum, liver, abdominal cavity, bladder, pelvic cavity. Okay. All right, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the abdominal cavity is going to house your digestive organs, right? So like your stomach, your liver, and your intestines. All right. So digestive organs. Brain and the spinal cord. Brain is going to be in your cranial cavity. Do that. Spinal cord. In your spinal cavity. The two of them together are going to give you your dorsal cavity. So that cavity in the back of your body. All right. We don't talk about it as much because it's like not as, oh, if I big it, okay, that's cool. Sick. That's how I can make the font bigger. I've been doing this for 3 semesters and I've never figured out how to make the font bigger. Okay. And so your brain found in your cranial cavity, spinal cord in your spinal cavity, the two of them together give you your dorsal cavity. Lung and heart, lungs and heart. Lungs are in your pleural cavity. Pleural cavity. Heart in your mediastinum. Okay, the two of them together are going to give you your thoracic cavity. Sick. Okay, and then your reproductive organs are going to be found in your pelvic cavity. Okay, so for your ventral cavity, you have your abdominal cavity, which has your digestive organs, right? Plus your pelvic cavity, which has your reproductive organs. That is going to give you your abdominal pelvic. All right. You have your pleural cavity, which is going to have your lungs, plus your mediastinum. It's going to have your heart. Those two together are going to give you your thoracic. Okay. Your thoracic cavity plus your abdominal pelvic cavity are going to give you your ventral cavity, meaning the cavity just on the front of your body. Okay. So a lot of this is already written up here, but this is just to like put it all in one spot. Okay. And like I said, I'm going to send you guys a thing tomorrow with all of my annotations and whatnot to help you out. So Still go through the questions on your own because the point of these are to like identify weak spots, right? The last two answer choices on this from what's on the handout, just to make them more straightforward. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the cervical region is going to be your neck. Okay, cervical. Oh, you guys got 100%. Hold on. Send a little woo. All right, so cervical region, we are talking about your neck. Okay. There's like a thing too, if my camera was working, like if I do like a peace sign or something like that, it gives you like little bubbles of thumbs up. Sometimes you'll see. Engagely is so cool. I just haven't figured it out yet, apparently. So your cervical region is talking about your neck. Okay. Your armpit region, axillary region. All right. The reason why I changed the last two because they're not really ones that I highlighted, or like I think I put knee when like you could have front of the knee or back of the knee. So your front of your knee is going to be your patellar region. Okay. The upper arm is going to be your brachial region. Okay. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. All right, yeah, so the axillary region is going to be talking about your armpit, okay? We just went through all of these, so I'm not going to do them again. Yeah, so your carpal region corresponds to your wrist. You guys have been studying the regions. I'm really proud of you. It's your third 100% in a row. So the carpal region is going to correspond to your wrist. Okay. Your ankle region is going to be your tarsals. So your tarsal region. Your shoulder, deltoid. And then the front of the elbow is going to be antecubital. I think I'm going to change some of the answer choices on this one as well. I could be wrong. Let me check. Just to make it like more clear. Yeah, I just changed elbow to front of the elbow. That's okay. If you just miss one or two, you'll be fine. Okay, so carpal region refers to the front of the elbow. We're reaching chapter 1 and then we'll take a break, okay? We think there's like 2 or 3 more for chapter 1. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so an example of negative feedback, regulation of blood glucose levels. There are only 2 examples of positive feedback, childbirth and blood clotting. It's positive when you stop bleeding. It's positive when you give birth, right? Everything else, so acid-base balance, blood pressure, blood glucose, temperature, all examples of negative feedback. Okay. Okay, 10 more seconds. All right. Yeah, so patient on their back is going to be supine. Okay. Prone is going to be the patient laying on their front, so on their belly. Fowler's position is with their head elevated. And Trendelenburg is going to be with their feet above their head. Okay. So before we start chapter 2, let's take a 10-minute break. Put a little timer up. And I will see you guys in 10 minutes. Oh, also, I know they sent out a email about registering for ExamSoft. So we will go through on how to register for ExamSoft today. All right. So moving on to chapter 2. Okay. Let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so atoms are composed of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Okay? Protons, neutrons, and electrons. Pretty straightforward. Okay? Ten more seconds. Yeah, so oxygen is going to be an element, right? All the other ones are going to be examples of molecules. Okay? 10 more seconds. All right. Yeah, so water is going to make up 50% or more of your body weight. Okay. For men, it's a little bit more water than women. That's why we don't give an exact number.
Oh, there's the sauce thing.
Okay. 10 more seconds. Yeah, so synthesis reactions, you're making a new thing, right? So A plus B gives you AB. All right. A decomposition reaction. Why is this not working? Okay, it's like a body decomposes, it falls apart. All right. This third one is going to be an example of an exchange reaction. Two things are switching places. All right. And that last one is a hydrolysis reaction that you guys do not need to worry about. All right. So the correct answer to this one is B. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so ionic bonds are going to be transferred. Okay, so keyword transfer here. All right. When atoms share electrons, this is a covalent. How did it do that? Covalent bonds, right? So covalent, coparent. When hydrogen bonds with oxygen, this is talking about hydrogen bonding. Okay, molecules rearranged, you're just talking about bonding in general. All right, so the correct answer to this one is going to be B. Okay, 10 more seconds. All right. So, yeah, an ion is going to be a charged atom. All right. An uncharged atom is just an atom. Ions are coming from ionic bonds, so from the movement of electrons. I just realized my mic was muted. I'm so sorry. So, primary energy storage molecule of the body is going to be ATP. Okay. Anytime you hear ATP, think energy. Anytime you hear energy, think ATP. So, think of it as like the difference between money versus dollars, right? Dollars are money. ATP is energy. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, So a solution with a pH of 2 is going to be acidic. Okay. Solution with any pH less than 7 is acidic. Basic and alkaline, they mean the same thing. Okay, they are just two words that mean the same thing. They mean a pH greater than 7. Neutral, pH exactly 7. All right. Chapter 3. You guys are doing great. I know that the MCQs kind of be I don't know. They can be a little boring, but like they're really good. So yeah. So the shape of the cell is primarily determined by its function, right? So different cells are going to do different things. So form dictates function. So if you're looking at a nerve cell, the whole point of the nerve cell is to carry signals long distances. So it makes sense that they have this adaptation that's really long, that stretches across, right? So the shape of the cell is going to be determined by its function. So what it does. Layla?
Going back to the other question, can you explain what D was?
D. Like the last question?
Yes.
Okay, let me look at it. Rate of division is just going to be like, I don't know, how quickly mitosis is occurring. It was just like a distractor. It's not, it doesn't have to do with shape or anything like that. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Okay, so the cell membrane, if you remember, it's like the barrier of the cell, right? It's going to be the border patrol. So the whole purpose of the cell membrane is going to be regulating the entry and exit of substances. All right. Energy production. This is going to be thanks to your mitochondria. Protein synthesis. This is going to be done by your ribosomes. So you could also put rough endoplasmic reticulum, because your rough endoplasmic reticulum is rough because it has ribosomes. Okay. Storage of genetic material. This is going to be found in your nucleus. Genetic material, aka DNA, right? Takaya?
What did you say for energy production again?
Mitochondria.
Okay.
So mitochondria is going to be making the ATP. Yeah, so your plasma membrane is mainly going to be composed of lipids, okay? So lipids, I think it also specifically says phospholipids. Lipids is in the word, okay? You can find proteins and sugars throughout the plasma membrane, but that doesn't mean they're the main component, right? The main component is going to be lipids. DNA is not found in the plasma membrane. That is found in the nucleus. All right, like 10 more seconds. All right, so selective permeability means only certain molecules can cross the membrane. All right. Selective meaning it picks and chooses. Permeability means that it can come through, right? If something is permeable, it means that it can go through. This one is just like a straightforward definition. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the role of lysosomes are going to be waste breakdown and recycling. So lysosomes sound like Lysol, right? So the role of lysosomes is going to be waste breakdown and recycling. Protein synthesis. We just talked about it. What does protein synthesis? Starts with an R. Ribosomes.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. I heard it. Ribosomes, right? Ribosomes are also going to be found on your rough endoplasmic reticulum. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum also responsible for protein synthesis, right? Energy production, that is going to be your mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell, right? Transporting substances, those are going to be vesicles. Vesicles are made by the Golgi apparatus. Okay, so role of lysosomes, waste breakdown, recycling. They're also called the garbage disposals of the cell. Ten more seconds. All right. Yeah, so osmosis, we are talking specifically about the water movement. Okay? So if you see water movement, osmosis. All right? All right, 10 more seconds. Yeah. So higher, right? Higher means hyper. Hypertonic solutions have the higher solute concentration. Hypotonic solutions, hypo means low. Iso means same, right? I changed this question to make it a little bit more clear. I just forgot to do it in the PowerPoint. So I'm going to skip over it for now. But I'll just tell you what I changed it to. So what type of solution would be caused by overhydration? Okay. This one. So I'll type it in the chat. Or wait, I can just share screen, I think. Okay. What solution type would be caused by overhydration? Yeah, exactly, right? The solution type caused by overhydration is going to be hypotonic. Okay. Let's go ahead and click on it just to like get you credits for the MCQs. So overhydration would be a hypertonic solution, right? Because you have a high concentration of water, which means you have a low solute concentration. Okay. Ten more seconds. Just click on I prefer that you click on the B, but if you want to click on a different one, okay, that's right. All right. Yeah, so the correct answer to this is B. All right, remember that this answer, cross this out. Text. All right, so solution type caused by overhydration. The correct answer is going to be B, because with overhydration, you have a high water concentration. Right? So if something is like really high in water concentration, like think about like a urine. I always use the example of urine because it's very like easy to see, right? If you have been drinking a lot of water, your urine is going to be really pale. It's because it's really diluted. You have a high water concentration. Okay? If you have not been drinking a lot of water, you have a low water concentration, which means you have a high solute concentration. So in the case of overhydration, when you have a high water concentration, you have a low solute concentration. All right, which makes it hypotonic. Because when you're talking about tonicity, you're talking about the solutes. No worries. Okay. And just like that, just the opposite of this is true for dehydration. Okay, so just to solidify it. Dehydration, you have a low water concentration, right? Because we haven't been drinking enough water. Which means you have a high solute concentration. So your urine is really concentrated, right? It's really yellow. So high solute concentration, which means it is hypertonic. Because again, we're talking about solutes when we talk about tonicity. Okay. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the two phases of protein synthesis, transcription, translation. Okay, that's it. Mitosis. What is mitosis? Cell division, right? One cell splits into two. There are going to be 4 phases to mitosis. All right. So transcription and translation are phases of protein synthesis. Mitosis is cell division. That is something different. Try switching from like the file share to class gallery. Sometimes that fixes it. Otherwise, you might need to like log out and log back in. Prophase, anaphase, metaphase, telophase, right? PMAT. Oh, well, you have these a little switched. It's prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. But yeah, those are the 4 phases. All right, a little bit of PanOpen review. Then we'll go through how to do ExamSoft. Okay. Oh, good. This should be 100%. Okay. 10 more seconds.
One answer is only popping up on my end.
I know, it's only one on there. If for some reason the other ones didn't like activate, but it's okay. It's the right answer. So the prefix is going to be found at the beginning of the word. Okay. The middle of the word is going to be what's called a combining form, and the end of the word is going to be your suffix. Oh, come on, man. Hold on. Let me fix this really quickly. I told you sometimes Engagely and I don't get along. So okay. Download. View, save. Yes. And it's still uploading. If you're repeating and we're doing Exemplify, I don't think you have to register again. Just like log in to make sure that you remember your password. Okay. Do this one. Let's see. Okay. Let's hope this works. Okay. I'm glad I just went through all that effort. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. It's not seeing anything on the screen. Okay. Try You have to switch back to file share. There should be a tab for file share. It looks like you guys actually clicked in. So you should be good. Yeah, so the prefix bi means two. So think of like bicycle. Okay. So for slow, Brady. So if you guys have started learning like, I don't know, charting terms at all, bradycardia means a slow heart rate. Near and under, I realized after I wrote these questions, you guys haven't covered those yet. So don't worry about those, okay? So Brady means slow. This one's probably only gonna do, okay. The prefix hypo, you can go ahead and type it in chat. I'm not gonna like redo the whole uploady thingy. Below, exactly. So hypo, it can mean low. It can also mean below. All right. It can also mean incomplete, deficient, under. All right. There's a couple different meanings for hypo. All right. If hypo means below, it makes sense that above can mean hyper. Okay. You could also have supra or super. Okay. So you have this structure on your sternum called your suprasternal notch, which just means at the top of your sternum. Near, far, again, you guys, those come up, I believe in unit 2. So I have them on here because I combined 1 and 2 last semester. So hypo means below, incomplete, deficient, under. Above can be either hyper or supra. Do the same thing, is it? Yeah, but you can click on the right answer for this one. Yeah, exactly. So the suffix algia or algia means pain. Okay, so if you think of like cardiomyalgia, that's going to be pain. All right. Cancer, something like a carcinoma. All right. That's going to be cancer, or like a melanoma, something like that. Surgical removal of, ectomy. So appendectomies, you're removing your appendix. Pertaining to, I believe that's just IA. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a whole like table in your pan open. So you should do it. Again. Okay. Suffix itis. Type it in chat. Inflammation, right? So if you have pancreatitis, that is going to be inflammation of your pancreas. Okay. Pancreatitis, inflammation. Okay. Producing is going to be like genic. Okay. So oncogenic, it's going to be egg producing, or wait, oncogenic is cancer producing, I believe. I'm thinking of oogenic. That's egg producing. Okay. Specializing in optometrists. So, Chris, I believe it is, like optometrist, gastroenterologist. Okay. They specialize in those things. Disease, that can be either like pathy, I forget the other one. This one, do not worry about. Okay, the combining forms aren't in Unit 1, I realized. All right. Same thing with this one. Crypto, skip this one for now. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yes, so inflammation of the pancreas, right? Even if you have never heard of pancreatitis before, break down the word. Okay? Prefix means pancreas, suffix means inflammation, right? Infection of the blood, that's going to be a sepsis. Pain in your heart, that is going to be cardiomyalgia. Cancer of the gallbladder, it's just usually called gallbladder cancer. Technically, I believe it would be like cholesarcoma or something like that, but you don't really hear that term used. So, cancer of the bladder, or sorry, inflammation of the pancreas. Okay. So, we have about 20 minutes left. So I'm gonna show you guys the crossword. But like, there's no way you guys are gonna do it in 10 minutes. So, well, of course mine is like up already. Okay, so I'm gonna send you guys a PDF of this, and I'll send you the answer key as well. Okay, so just go through this with your notes. It's pretty in depth, so I don't expect you guys to be able to like do this off rip without looking at your notes. Okay, I want you guys to go through using your notes. The other thing I have for you guys, a Jeopardy game. Or wait, we played Jeopardy in this section. Never mind. You guys already played Jeopardy. I'll send you the link. Or wait, I already sent you the link for Jeopardy. Okay. So you have a crossword. You have the MCQs to review. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. Now for ExamSoft, all right. If you are a repeater, please still try to log into ExamSoft. All right. When you go to ExamSoft, okay. I believe the link will take you guys right to this page. But just in case, I'm gonna show you. Okay. So you're gonna come to this ExamSoft page. Okay, so the link in your email. You'll type in ATS and scroll all the way to the bottom. You want this one, the ATS nursing, not ATS Chicago. That's like a shell thing. It doesn't work, is what I was told. Okay. So click the link. Okay. So once you have done that, you scroll all the way to the bottom, see ATS nursing, click continue. Okay. Then you're going to go to this user portal. This should give you like a sign up screen. Okay. Sign up with your ATS email. Please write your password down somewhere. Okay. we probably spend like 15 minutes of the first exam just getting everyone logged in because people forget their password. Okay. I do not care how good you think your memory is. You have 1,000 things to worry about exam day. All right. Please, please, please make sure you know your password day of exam day. All right. Write it down somewhere. Just please write it down on your phone, write it down in your notebook, whatever you got to do. Okay. Once we get everybody logged in, then we'll put phones and notes and everything away. Okay. So please just write it somewhere. The biggest problem we have on exam day, genuinely, is getting everybody logged into ExamSoft. If you are a repeater and you're sitting here and you're like, I don't have to do that, it's fine. I know that I remember my password from last semester. Just log in. Okay, just log in ahead of time just to make sure. Just make sure that you remember your password, or maybe you need to reset your password, whatever it might be. Okay, so please, please, please do this ahead of time. I wouldn't be bringing this up if it was not important. All right. So that's all I have for you guys today. Again, I'll send you like the crossword and everything in my email tomorrow. But yeah. So have a great rest of your day, guys. And don't be late to your exam. Please be on time.
What time does exam start again? 9 a.m., right? The same time as class?
9 a.m. Yep, it's going to be at the same time as class. Don't be late.
Okay. Okay.
If you're late and the door is closed, you are not allowed to take the exam. So,
Okay.
all right. I will see you guys on Monday. Have a good rest of your weekend.